A very good day to Sir Aziman Abdullah and to everyone that is watching this video. My name is Brendan Ten. My student ID is CD24016. So for this video, I will be reviewing a book which I borrowed from the library, which is this book, Statistical Data Analytics, Foundations for Data Mining, Informatics, and Knowledge Discovery by Walter Willey Piegosz. So the reason I've picked this book is because it sounded related to our course, data analytic and visualization, and especially about understanding and working with data. So what is this book about? So for what I've read, this book focuses on how data can be collected, analyzed, and interpret using statistics. It explains how to look at data carefully and make sense of it before we move on to creating visual like dashboards. The author also includes some coding example using R, which is another data analytic tool. So it's not only theory, but also some practice. So there are a few techniques that is mentioned in this book, which I find interesting because this book doesn't only talk about numbers, but also shows us how to see the data. So in chapter 4, there's a section which shows us a some of the technique here. This is dot strip chart. This is strip chart, and this is dot plot, and also box plot, and etc. So this technique simplifies the way we see with how data is spread out and or to spot unusual points in our data set. And on the later part, there is also techniques like scatter plots, bubble plots, and heat maps. Uh, this so for those techniques that I think it is useful when you want to compare two things. Yeah, like example like how temperature affect energy use. And then later on in chapter 10, I believe, there is a something called PCA, Principal Component Analysis, which helps, I think, simplifies, from what I've understand, simplifies data, large data sets, so that it is easier to visualize it. Even though that part might sound new to me, but I think it's still the same idea in finding clear way to understand data through visual. So why I think this book fits or doesn't fit our course? This book fits quite well for the first few learning outcome, especially in describing and analyzing data processing. It explains how data can be cleaned, visualized, and used to make decisions. But at the same time, it doesn't really talk about building dashboards or using tools like uh, Google Data, Google Data Studio, which are I believe, which are what we will be using in our lab in the near future. So I would say these books helps with understanding why we visualize, on why we visualize data and what kind of visual are useful, but not exactly how to create them with software. So my thoughts, personally, I think this book gives a solid foundation if you are trying to understand how analytics and visualization connect. And the language can feel technical at time. Uh, even I have to sometimes I have to Google a few words to understand the meaning behind them. But overall, I think it's clear enough if you take your time to try to understand the book. And I will probably use it as a reference if I want to understand the logic behind data processing and visualization rather than a step-by-step guide uh, for coding or visualize them. So to wrap it up, this book is suitable for our subject if you want to understand the background and thought process behind the data analytics. It supports what we what we are learning in data analytics and visualization, especially in the early topics about data handling and interpreting results. But it doesn't focus much on modern visualization tools or dashboard design. Okay, so it's weak in the visualization parts. Still, I think it's a good read for anyone who wants to strengthen their basics in analytics and see how visual helps make sense of data. So I think that is pretty much it for this review. And thank you so much for watching.